You're watching New Kids on the Block, and it is the time where the government is marking its 3rd anniversary. And so in a special edition of the show, we have with us Union Minister of Civil Aviation, Ashok Gajapathi Raju, somebody who is very low-key, doesn't speak much, and yet his ministry has been quite in the headlines. No, not just for the bad news of Air India and its performance, but also because very recently his ministry and the government took a very strong stance that they weren't going to allow an errant MP, Shiv Sena MP, who had been caught on camera attacking a crew member, wouldn't be allowed to fly at all. It's something that we hope he will talk to us about on the show. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here. And of course, we have a student audience here in studio, as always, to ask questions of the minister. So let me just start off, sir, by what I talked about, the entire episode, because I think it's the elephant in the room. It's something that touched a chord with everybody. Can you tell us a little bit behind the scenes of what really transpired over there? Would you say that it has been one of the most significant, or perhaps the most significant moments of the last 3 years?
Like I mentioned informally earlier, that we had civil aviation requirement which came into force in 2014 November, if I remember correctly. And I told Parliament, in my wildest of dreams, I never thought an MP would get caught in this. So anyway, so it
what did the
happened
rules say?
You see, it gave the power to the airlines to ban a person from flying.
Right.
Now, I'm not an eyewitness to what Professor Gaikwad did, but what we heard from statements and things like that from the press and public knowledge, and he himself, it seems, told people that he beat up a person, I think, 25 times.
Yes.
Though I find it a little funny, a person being beaten for 25 times still there and getting beaten. It's a bit difficult to believe. But those are the things that happened at that time. And airlines, in their wisdom, decided that he should not fly. But then we looked at the civil aviation requirement. And I told Parliament also that very day that we'll be working on a new civil aviation requirement, and we'll be putting it in the public domain. And based on responses, we'll come to a conclusion and publish it. So that's what's happened.
So you make it sound like the airlines itself took this cue, but actually it was Air India, sir, which first decided, which of course comes under your ministry. So the decision obviously came from you. And then all other airlines, the private airlines, they were just showing solidarity in backing this ban. But tell us about how you got the call and what was your response first. And did the government in a way get involved at all? Did this pop up, for example, in cabinet briefings and things like that?
You see, you're overrating the professor's performance. You see, cabinet does discuss a lot of things.
Right.
That besides the point. And Air India is also an airline. It might be owned by the government of India.
Yeah.
But it's basically an airline.
Right.
Now, like I'll put it another way, there was a former member of parliament from my home state who asked me on one thing when India was the highest civil aviation growth in the world. He said, what is your secret? How does India become perform the highest growth in civil aviation?
Just by the number of people flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I told him, allow people to work. When Indians work, when they put their best foot forward, I think the result will be the best, and this has demonstrated that. So anyway, the airline took a call on the professor's issue, and that happened. And then the professor decided he should write a letter to me.
He wrote to you?
Yeah, he wrote 3 letters. 2 of them went to the police station because that case is still on.
Oh.
So whatever he said, the other side of the coin has to go there.
So you just forwarded there?
Yeah, obviously.
Did any point when he started threatening, like we will not let flights take off from Mumbai airport, which is your big center, which is the busiest, I saw some figure which said, which is busier than any other airport, it's become the busiest. When he started saying that, very soon after that the ban was lifted. So did it play a factor at all?
You see, I really won't know how many factors are there. He wrote a third letter to me, and my understanding of English was what? That I will behave myself and such a thing will not happen.
In the third letter?
Yeah.
Fully apologize.
Yeah, so I advised the airlines that please, I advise you to withdraw your ban, because the civil aviation requirement is in their favor. Until government amends it, you see, we need a balance.
Yeah.
Now, aircraft is a place where you can't have fisticuffs of any kind. It's a matter of safety. Safety cannot be compromised. So, that's how it has to be worked out. But it has to be balanced. Like, we realize the deficiencies there, and then we give it certain definitions. In the new thing you might have gone through.
Yeah,
it's
which puts
in the
on
public
penalties.
domain.
Yeah.
It's in the public domain. So there are 3 levels. So how bans are to be handled, how they have to be. The minister should not be getting involved in all this. And it should never come to a minister's level. Because an individual misbehavior is a individual misbehavior. It's not anything else.
Yes.
Nothing more, nothing less. So that's how it has to be treated.
So what's been the impact of that? Have people started behaving much better? What are your staffers? What are the other crew members? What is the feedback you're getting? And we all want to know, right? We all want to know what has been, because you all handled it firmly. We hadn't seen anyone being banned before. What impact has it had?
Well, it has had an impact that in the sense, airlines are reporting lesser problems. So that's there. But then that aside, then passenger-centric things also have to be done, because they should not get a raw deal. So there were a lot of steps taken there, and that's also going on. So it's all a balance. Now on the passenger side, they've got the Air Seva now, all the airports in India on it, all the airlines are on it. And we did a small analysis.
Yes.
And we realized that almost all airlines get complaints. It's not only the public sector which was there. In fact, the public sector gets lesser complaints than the private sector. And it's going on. So that's good. Our airlines are taking action on it. And we are analyzing whether there are patterns developing. So that
give us an instance.
You see, like baggage, missing baggage. Now there were about 200 and odd cases, close to 250 cases, say, roughly. So we are saying, you analyze it, tell us, are there any particular airports where these are?
Yes.
In large number. So that type of thing.
So do we know? Is there one which is a particularly errant one when we fly?
I won't like to dwell too much into that.
Yeah.
But wherever these patterns emerge,
yeah.
Those
okay,
airports
we'll start
should be
taking
advised.
questions in just a bit. Yeah, I know there are questions. I just want to ask you, because you talked about the public sector, sir. The big question now is, we've just recently heard the Niti Aayog CEO reveal in a recent interview that one of the first PSUs to be disinvested is going to be Air India. Is that correct, sir?
It could be. I hope he's right. Because Air India is a beautiful airline. Legacy issues. Its finances
the 50,000 crore debt.
Its finances are very, very bad. Governments in the past had given it a turnaround plan and a financial reconstruction plan. But none of them is really going to pull Air India out of that mess. So I guess it has to be professionalized if it has to survive. I, for one, would like it to survive. And It's running against time.
So
Recently, if you look at other parameters, its performances have improved.
on-time performance has improved.
On-time performance.
And you got that operational profit.
That's all there. But then its finances are so bad
That
is pulling it down. So something has to be done. Business as usual is not going to help Air India at all.
So disinvestment has to be done.
Something has to be done.
What
is that something is the question.
One of the things that some experts watching that sector are saying is that the only way is full privatization.
It could be, they could be.
That's also an option you're looking at.
I would say I will not like or suggest any option to be closed.
Really?
Yeah.
What, according to you, personally speaking, sir, and not as a public person, what, according to you, is the best option for Air India right now? To make it a much more leaner, efficient thing for the government, for the economy, keeping all of this in mind, what is the best option?
You see, individually, I would like Air India to survive. You must have heard of a story of King Solomon, where two mothers claimed the same baby, and how the justice was. It's a famous story. Now, the real mother wanted the baby to survive. I think we would like in Air India to survive and serve the Indian skies. It's had a resplendent heritage. Of course, the Maharaja has gone impoverished now. So, how to handle that will be the question. But whatever it is, we would like Air India to continue to serve the people of India.
But it could, as a private venture, maybe.
Whatever, private, public, whatever.
What is the thing against full privatization?
Nothing is against it. I'd like to survive.
The government jobs.
Jobs are there. Jobs should be there. Even a private person would naturally, he'll continue the job, employment. We would like it to survive. If it crashes like, say, Kingfisher, then your employment
But bailout
goes.
is no other bailout like we saw in the last government gave it a bailout. That is totally ruled out.
You see, you can't commit a taxpayer's money for eternity to an airline.
Right.
And those sizable sums don't make sense. Yeah, that's what I said, the turnaround plan, the financial reconstruction plan. These things didn't appear to work out.
So by when do we know which is the route, survival plan, because it's the third year of government
Right now we are thinking about it seriously. We are interacting with a lot of people. All sections, if you have ideas, we are willing to take it.
So buyers and everyone you're looking at.
Everyone, anybody who is willing to give us a suggestion, we are willing to listen.
So this time next year, it will be sorted out. We'll know the road.
Do we have that much time is the question also.
Okay, much earlier.
Because the way it's clocking up, it's a financial burden on that airline.
Right.
It's pulling it down. Its interest rates are pulling it down.
Okay, let's get the question now. You had a question, yeah?
Talking about the Modi government. So the Modi government is all about Make in India concept, right? Yeah. So how is civil aviation heading towards it? So what are the key achievements so far that you could see in the Modi government which has led to a progressive start?
You see, aviation, world over, we were considered the fourth largest market. Today, in domestic terms, you are the third. With international put together, you are the fourth. So you are there. Of course, an airport is like an infrastructure, basically like a road. Mm-hmm. You can run a bus on it, you can run a truck on it, you can run a minivan on it. In India, there's a mental block. You think that air travel is only for passengers. You don't want to run a truck on it. While the biggest airline in the world is a cargo airline. And say, you talk about German airline, Lufthansa, it has passengers plus cargo.
Right.
In India, in terms of cargo growth, yes, 3 years have been probably just like your passenger growth, your cargo is growing. But cargo is minuscule. The base is more. And being transport and the government's priority is to increase rural incomes, probably aviation also has a place. So we are observing all this and working with people and trying to make it happen.
So where is Make in India concept playing a role?
Oh, aircrafts are definitely not made in India.
Yeah,
So
we're not there yet, yeah.
We are not yet there. Those satellites, yes, launching satellites and all, India is very much there.
Yeah.
But somehow aircrafts were not on that focus.
What's your question?
So, under the new scheme UDAN, cheap tickets are available. So, as it is being highly subsidized by the government, isn't there any possibility that it will create a huge debt on the government?
This is a good question, yeah. It's what everyone's, I mean, it's good. We understand that it's good for everyone. You want to connect other places, but isn't it another thing that bleeds Air India?
No, Air India has little to do with this scheme, UDAN, because we have 5 airlines as of now, right on it. Now, here there's a levy on all airlines, including public sector, lest you separate it,
Yeah.
on what we call the trunk routes. So this translates to roughly about 40 rupees per passenger. So this money is collected and it is cross-subsidized to the tune of 80%
Right.
in where the UDAN scheme is on. Now, I'll give you the background. 70 years into independence, we had about active airports, means where scheduled flights go, about 72. And UDAN is just started. By September, it should be operational. And we expect in the first shot to have 33 unserved airports connected. So this is a low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
The next lot, things will become
And commercially
different.
viable as well, sir?
The idea is that it takes about 2 years to develop a route.
Right.
So your viability gap funding is planned for 3 years. So you expect these routes to become self-financing within that period of time.
Okay, so it's going to take time.
So it's not a subsidy for eternity.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah. Okay, what was the question? Yeah.
So despite the low fuel cost last year, still Air India couldn't make any profit. So can we expect any profit now?
you see, Air India's finances are so bad that whatever they earn, they will not cover up the interests.
Right.
So this is exactly what Air India is, and its performance levels have gone up in the recent 3 years. If we see, like its on-time performance is better, its engineering has become better, the number of aircraft it's keeping in the air, because if you keep it on ground,
But
you
I
don't
think if you
earn
go down
anything.
social media, sir, it's the service that people really get upset about.
Service also, Air India has a good level of service. I have a feeling that probably wherever you are, there will always be a scope for improvement.
Okay.
So keeping that aside,
Yeah.
Air India is comparable to any airline in the world.
Okay. Okay. What was your question? Yeah.
A bit off the topic question, but as I got to know that Mr. Modi is traveling to France in a few days, so I just wanted to know that what are the differences that, in safety measures, if we talk about, in his airplane and the airplane in which we common
That's a
people
fun
travel.
question, yeah.
Oh, you see, there's no real difference.
Air India One, it's called, no, sir?
You see,
Like
Air
Air Force
India
One, yeah.
gives an
Yeah.
aircraft.
We all know that from Hollywood movies, sir. So we just want we just want an idea of what the Indian version is like. Yeah.
You
Is there a
see,
bedroom?
no,
Is there what
you
is
see,
there? Yeah.
You see, safety, there's no difference. Whether it's the passenger or the Prime Minister, everybody's life is equally valuable, particularly in a democracy. There's no doubt about that. Now, security, of course, the Prime Minister will have a higher level of security. You and I won't have madmen running behind us for our lives. Probably Prime Minister doesn't have that privilege. So security angles are a little different with them. And of course, there will be a cabin probably put in there so that he could relax, do a work. It becomes like a...
So there's no conference room like we
It becomes like a working office.
Okay.
You see, the whole thing is that at that level, it's a flying office. That's it.
You know, obviously, you can make out the, I know you have questions, I'm just coming to you. There's interest about the Prime Minister, and part of this 3 years is also they're having a Modi Fest. BJP is having a Modi Fest. I want to ask you, how is he like in cabinet meetings and things like that? Can you give us some insight? I think people would want an insight into him as the, you know, as the senior or the boss of Team Modi.
Of course, Prime Minister is the boss of the cabinet.
Yeah.
So there are no two questions about it. Probably some people within government have a greater access to him because they've struggled together. I come from the Telugu Desam background.
Yes.
And probably I knew who Modi was before he knew who I was. Because I became known to him only as a colleague.
Right.
But it's interesting. Working with him has been interesting. Like there are a lot of people who complain on, say, fare structures in India. Some people feel it's very high. So we had a discussion, we had an analysis, and then we said this is not a simplistic solution because 1.7% of a year's ticketing was a matter of concern. So if you have floors and caps, you will be pushing up costs for 98% of the travelers to benefit less than 2% of the travelers. It doesn't make economic sense. So the strategies had to change. But everybody knows that these tickets are high priced in certain sectors. Probably they would require capacity addition at that particular point of time. India doesn't have the luxury of additional capacities. So people are working on those things, and we intend to solve those problems.
As we wrap up, sir, I just want to tell our audience members and viewers as well that your daughter Aditi is here in studio. What, according to you, as a person who, like all of us, just use their, what's the best thing your dad has done as a minister? Any policy that you approve of?
Okay, that I don't involve myself in the aviation.
But as a flyer,
field as such.
As a flyer, anything that you like?
I think removing those tags from the hand luggage because I never found it necessary.
Yeah.
And I think that's, as a flyer, I think that's one of the good things he's done.
But perhaps a lot of people agree with that as well because it's internationally not done as well. And so I have to let you go but not before asking you that in the third year, it's also come during the presidential polls. People are having lots of ideas, there are all kinds of names floating around, from Amitabh Bachchan to others as well, to a second term for Pranab Mukherjee. Is there someone who you think is best to be president?
Well, I would say president is a responsibility. And as an Indian citizen, you see, you'd like someone who charged the nation, particularly the youngsters, students like Abdul Kalam.
Right.
If someone
the
of
last
that,
NDA president,
someone like that comes, we'll be all very excited because I happen to have a vote and you'll be more excited to vote for. But ultimately, decisions are taken by leaderships.
That's right.
And the NDA will sit down, they will decide. Probably they will try to develop a consensus. And India will have a Rashtrapati.
Yes, that's one thing we know for sure. Thank you so much, Ashok, Gajapathi, Raju, for taking questions from the audience and all of us. That's it on the show. Join us again next week. Till then, goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.